Kamala actually ticks all the boxes, but I don't think she'll get in because she's female. Okay, her pluses. She's about 20 years younger than Trump, thank God. I don't know what people over 70 are doing, competing for public office or to be so senior anyway, to be president of the most powerful country on earth. Ticks all the racial diversity boxes. Her father's African American, her mum's Indian, her husband is white. So she's covered all bases.
I think she's Jamaican, isn't she? Isn't she half Jamaican?
Mother.
Yeah.
I know is her father not African American? He's Jamaican. I don't know, but I know her parents met at uni or on civil rights marches or something like that. And her accomplishments, and her public office, her service. She was DA of San Francisco, Attorney General of California, before she even became a senator. So intellectually, she'd wipe the floor with Trump.
Yeah, but Fumi, you were saying that her problem is going to be that she's a woman. Yes. Why is that a problem?
Exactly. I think Americans are not ready to vote a woman in as their president, regardless of race. I remember an American friend telling me years ago, before President Obama was voted in, he said he was doing political science at Princeton, so not exactly a lightweight brain, but he said America will vote in a black or Hispanic male before it votes in a woman.
Well, that's certainly what's happened, huh?
Exactly. And he was right. That's 20, 30 years ago. And I think Americans are still in that, that state. And I said to him, but surely the land of women's lib, yes. And the lot of it. He said, no, Americans, he said, you Europeans are sophisticated. You can wrap your minds around the idea. Look at Maggie Thatcher and look across Europe. He said Americans are not.
There are some pretty strong women in America, though, aren't there?
Yeah, that's the irony. They may well have more or as many women in very powerful positions in America. I mean, look at Condoleezza Rice. They're quite a lot. No one comes to mind, but you know what I mean.
I actually think that the Democrats have now got a really good chance of actually winning this election. I mean, there are quite a few things about Kamala Harris that might be negative in terms of the fact that she's a woman. Is America ready for a woman president? Like you said before, see what happened to Clinton. But I think more importantly, Trump is now very vulnerable. Now you can get someone that is going to expose all the vulnerabilities that come with Trump. The convicted felon, the rape allegation convictions, how much money is that to pay out because of all the fraud in his companies and all of those sort of things. And this woman was a prosecutor for California. I mean, California is bigger than some countries.
Yes.
So she was big time, and she's done this before. And the only time that Joe Biden was vulnerable during when they were doing the nomination was when she actually attacked him. I know she dropped out pretty early, but I think we're living in different times now. I mean, all she needs is for Taylor Swift as an example to endorse her, and she's in. That's my opinion.
So this is the key to the election. Everybody seems to think the key to the election is Taylor Swift. Is that where we are now?
I think Taylor Swift, she just endorsed her, and then that's it. Because if she can she's going to get the women's vote. I know that because of the fact that she's an advocate for women's rights, and she's done really well with this the abortion thing, and she's done well with the infrastructure as well that Biden is been doing in America. She would make people know that America has actually done a lot better than a lot of other countries. They've done better than we have, And if she can bring all of those attributes out and let people know, and then get the women's vote. After all, there are more women than men.
I think also the Republicans have got their fingers burnt on the issue of abortion because they listened to themselves and they didn't listen to the wider public. And the silent majority, particularly the silent majority of women, don't want to have their rights to an abortion. They don't ever want to have an abortion, but they don't want to not have a right to an abortion if they ever need it taken away from them. And they started losing elections when they had people who would speak too often and too loudly about being anti-abortion. So I think they're kind of pulling their horns in now. So I think it'll be interesting. You're right that Kamala Harris was at the forefront of the campaign to ensure that that the Americans kept the right for women to have abortion in America. And it may well be that the Republicans have overshot when it comes to women's issues. So having a woman candidate against might well be very interesting. Ibrahim, before you go, should I just stop talking about Michelle Obama? I mean, nobody seems to be interested in her
you shouldn't.
standing.
I don't think that she's interested.
No, well, I think that's certainly what she says.
I did hear your question about Michelle Obama. I think that if Michelle Obama was to run, it's going to be such a great thing, and I think that she's definitely going to beat Trump.
So I have friends who are saying to me, well, of course, the reason that Obama hasn't come out and supported Kamala Harris straight away is because his wife wants to run. I think that probably is contrary to the evidence, isn't it?
I don't think so. Obama and the Clintons and the superpower people amongst the Democrats, they take their time. And Obama would come out for Mrs. Harris at some point. But I think he's going to wait maybe closer to the convention, and he's going to time it in such a way that it's going to be epic. Just wait, and I think that's what's going to happen, because I just cannot see Obama going for anyone else.
I mean, in normal times, you would go, well, the president can't do it, so the vice president takes over. And they've collected money together, right? So the president backs out and Harris then inherits the money and the goodwill and the teams and everything and all the information. But people are asking questions about whether Kamala Harris is appropriate. I mean, what do you think?
I think they're in a bind. As I said, everything you've just said is correct and true. They got the money together. They got it as the ticket together, so she should have the crack of it. I think she's going to get, destroyed, but that's the process.
Well, why do you think she's going to be destroyed?
She stepped out of the race when Joe Biden was in it, before the first vote was done by the primary in 2020. She had the 2% approval rating.
I mean, listen, politicians can run bad campaigns. It doesn't make them necessarily a bad politician. You can make a mistake. You can have a bad campaign and come back. I mean, look what happened to Biden. I mean, how many times did Biden stand for president before he eventually got it?
Well, that's because he had to step down because of plagiarism, because he was lying.
Well, there was that, but I think there were other times as well. And people with long political lives have ups and downs. I think in the end they're only people. Now, I don't think that's enough to say that she's going to get pulverised or that she's going to get. So what else have you got?
I mean, she was the border czar, and that's gone down swimmingly, by the sounds of it. She's supposedly the infrastructure czar. That hasn't supposedly done well as well.
Oh, I don't know. I think
barely seen her.
Yeah. Have you seen any examples, though, of vice presidents in America actually achieving anything individually? Don't they really work with the president? President Biden has achieved a lot.
I think the problem is she's tied to it. This is the problem. She hasn't come in fresh. She's tied to that, and it's just policy after policy has been. You can't argue it. She's going to get hammered.
The last caller suggested that one of the problems would be is just that she's a woman and that America's not ready for a woman president. What do you think about that?
No, that's I don't think that really maybe I don't live there, but I don't think so. In our country, it doesn't exist. So I mean, we've had three. Obviously. So I think that's like victimhood. No, that doesn't exist. We want the right person in there, and I don't know. I think you should go to. I don't know how you feel about it, Emily, but it should really kind of be in an open forum now at the DNC. It should be open now.
I'll tell you what I think. I think that if it had been a year out or 6 months out, then I think that would be a different matter. But I think we don't have time now. I think that if the Democratic Convention ends up being a bun fight, we can talk in advance, we should have an election and there should be debate and we should be able to see the candidates. But you know what will happen? They'll start taking, bits out of each other and then just give more and more copy to the Republicans. And it'll be too close between them and... It's really going to happen. That's why I've been thinking about it overnight. I think that probably... the most important thing for the Democrats to do is to remain as united as possible, which means unless there are serious objections to Kamala Harris becoming the candidate, that they should unite behind her. And I think collectively that is where they're getting to. I mean, much as one doesn't want there to be a coronation, I mean, she is vice president and the president's not standing. So it's not like you're just, picking someone out of the air. But look,
the money is tied to her. So
exactly.
if they go with someone else, they're going to have to get new donors. They're going to have to get more advertising. They're with her, and that's it. But I don't. I mean, Trump's getting in. He's just getting in.
Kamala Harris will not win the presidency. No way. She's never, ever won any seat she's been put up for, ever. She had to drop out of the last election because nobody voted for her in big amounts. The third thing is Hillary Clinton should be the VP, the next candidate for the Americans, Hillary Clinton. I don't think anybody really wants to go up against Trump because they feel that anybody who goes up against him, it ain't going to win. So they don't want to put their heads above the parapet.
But Hillary Clinton has lost herself, and I think she's backing Kamala Harris, isn't she now?
She did back Kamala Harris, the vice president, but Hillary Clinton has always wanted to be the first female president of the United States. There's no way Michelle Obama will step in. She's still trying to sell a book. You know what I mean? She's got no energy with her for the presidency.
I think you're right about that. I think that much as people do talk about Michelle Obama, I think the fact is that she wasn't really that keen on her husband even going for president in the first place, let alone going for president herself. She had said many, many times that she's not interested. So maybe
and the other thing is that Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party and the media have all been complicit in saying that Biden's so intellectual, so amazing, brilliant energy, and we all know that he's had cognitive problems since before he was elected president. Plus, there's all the voting scandal with the votes. I personally like Trump. I really like Trump. He says it as it is, and that's all there is to it.
I think this is why trying to find a candidate who isn't mired in, who hasn't been mired in like Joe Biden's political machinations, or like someone who can't be criticised by the right to say, oh well, you've supported Sleepy Joe and all this stuff. You've been part of his government. So someone like Michelle Obama to step forward, someone who's not currently involved in the in the day-to-day government running, but who has that political leaning and is a massive personality, very popular. Someone like that would gather the Democratic vote behind her. She would convince the swing voters and possibly bring some Republicans with her as well. I remember people talking about Oprah running. So that's kind of what I mean, like someone with a massive personality, someone who can just, who can take it to Donald Trump, not be intimidated by his braggadociousness, and someone who can just stand there and deflect Donald Trump.
But let me put a controversial view in front of you, Rob, which is that it is a skill being involved in politics. And having experience and being at the centre of things in the way that the vice president would have been means that she does know her way around. She does know how to deliver things. Having somebody completely fresh, somebody who doesn't have any real experience of politics, doesn't necessarily make them a very effective operator. One of the things that people always said about Joe Biden until recently was that given his huge experience, he did know how to get things through the American political system and be able to deliver. And some of the investment that he's managed to get in infrastructure and so on during his time as president shows the advantage of experience. Now, I appreciate that I'm just, I would say that, wouldn't I, being a politician myself. But I think you can't just say that being a politician is just a negative and that getting someone fresh in who's got nothing to do with politics is, by definition, a good thing. Because you do learn things being involved in politics.
Kamala Harris would make an excellent president.
Okay.
But, to finish first you've got to finish. And if she, as much as Joe Biden has fallen on his sword and stepped down, if the polls and the ratings are showing that Kamala Harris can't win against Trump, then somebody else has to step forward, and that may be, a one-term president, someone who can get the Democrats back in, rebuild the the Democratic base, try and turn some heads from the other side. And if that has to be someone who's not held office before, I mean, Trump had never held office before he ran, and he got himself in through personality. Maybe the Democrats have to kind of play the same game for a term or possibly 2 terms, just to reset the balance and try and get rid of wait until Trump's too old to run again.
All right. Well, look, thank you very much for your time, Rob.